Entertain a motion to open the meeting of the Holyoke Planning Board.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Nathan,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Brennander,
It looks like he's. There he is.
Yes.
all right, Kate
Yes.
and Mimi.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, where would you like to start on the agenda?
Well, I think we might as well start with the special permit for the sign for the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club.
Okay,
And normally, of course, we would wait 2 weeks on this, but it seems awfully straightforward.
gotcha. It's coming.
So. Is it?
Do we see that?
You
Yes.
see that,
Okay.
and
Here, how about this? There we go. So obviously we will do that.
I felt comfortable with all the findings as they were written in the draft.
so did I.
Okay.
And you want to change the approved to denied with conditions at the very top. And do
all.
looks good to me. Do I hear a motion to approve the special permit?
I'll move that we approve the special permit.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Nathan,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Brennander,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Mimi.
Yes. Possibly the easiest thing we'll do this year. And next up is the special permit for the White Hut signs. And normally, of course, we would also hold this for 2 weeks, but given the circumstances last time where, you know, the applicant came in and we didn't even have a quorum, I gather that after discussion, or the members present agreed that assuming that we had no problems with the package, we could go ahead and approve this one tonight too. And I certainly have no problem with that. But I do want to put it on the record that this is a special circumstance and we do not normally do it.
Jeff, are these the updated square footages?
Yes, I took the numbers off the most recent revised elevation.
So the totals of 74 square feet.
Yes.
You guys will have to fill in the blanks.
Okay,
The proposed north-south signs appropriately
identify the business.
identify the business and direct customers to what they're calling it, fast casual. Right? Direct customers to a fast casual restaurant appropriate to the neighborhood. Something like that.
Direct customers to the entrances to the.
Was that appropriate, Kate? Appropriate to the neighborhood?
Yeah, if other people agree with that, I was just, I was thinking as I,
But now you've got appropriately twice in the sentence. I'm not sure if
Sorry.
that matters.
yeah, it probably does. Somebody else can wordsmith it. Yeah,
Within the-
Well, actually, we can just lose the neighborhood phrase, I think.
Okay. Sure.
Okay,
I felt like 2 through 5 were fine as written.
yeah. And. Component by attracting customers.
Say something about the
And,
possible financial benefit to the city
yeah,
of a
no, I-
successful business.
yeah, it also. Have a positive impact on this. Community. Business neighborhood.
Whoops.
Yeah. By bringing people into. This neighborhood of small businesses.
So then you're doing have a positive impact and then taking out the next little phrase.
Yeah. I'm correcting myself aloud, only not on the page.
Proponent by attracting customers and also have,
And also have a positive impact on the,
No, by bringing, right?
yes, have a positive impact.
by
Oh, you can
bringing-
just take out
Yeah,
the following phrase.
Get rid of all this.
No, just up to by, from impact to by.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
or small bit, now leave it as is. Let's not
That's
get
fine.
any more complicated.
Should it be after have a positive impact on the city?
Yes.
During the public hearing, we didn't really hear from Lauren commenting, so I don't know what the vote might be, so I'm gonna wait maybe.
Okay, well. Anybody want to add anything or change anything?
I got one detail I want to bring up.
If
On
you can't
the
vote, we'll let it.
Go for it.
number 1 findings, I
Mhm.
think technically, I'm not sure if this could be a fast casual restaurant or a fast food restaurant. I think fast casual is more like, well, what's a fast casual? I guess Chipotle is like fast casual. I do wonder if it's better to just take out the whole fast casual and just say to the restaurant, so we stay a little more neutral. But that's just a thought.
No,
To the restaurant,
I think that's fine.
That's fine.
yeah.
Anything else? Okay, I call for a motion to approve the special permits.
I'll move that we approve the special permit. This is just the one for. Is this the one for sign size or for multiples?
It is both on the same.
Both. Okay, great. I'll move that we approve the special permits for an increase in sign size and the special permit for the multiple signs.
Second, anyone?
I second it.
Thank you.
All
All in
those in-
favor?
Yeah, by roll call vote, Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Kate,
Yes.
Mimi,
Yes.
and Lauren.
Yes.
Now we're up to the site plan review amendment there.
Yeah, and this is an amendment for the Holyoke Housing Authority for is 624 Southeast Street, Holyoke Housing Authority, file number 140. And I gather we do have people here from the Housing Authority to present this.
Now the right time?
Now is good.
Perfect. So I'm Sarah Myers-Zimbler. I'm the Director of Development at the Housing Authority. I'm joined by Janera Healy and Matt Mainville from the Housing Authority. We also have Carlos Nieto from Berkshire Design and Austin Ludwig from Abacus Architects. So we are actually on your agenda for 2 different phases. And so I thought that I would start this presentation by sort of just doing an overview of the project so you can kind of remember where we're at, where we're trying to go. So if I can pull this up. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a conceptual map only. It is oriented in the wrong direction. My apologies, Jeff. But it does conceptually provide you with an overview of what we're trying to do in South Holyoke. Just kind of backing up a little bit, the Holyoke Housing Authority was designated as a developer of this project. It was actually included in the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority's Urban Renewal Plan. This is Area 8 of their plan. We were designated in 2018 to develop vacant city-owned lots in this area. We came to you, I think 2.5 years ago for phase 1. And that is a 12-unit rental building on the corner of Hamilton and Southeast Street. We're going to get into more details about that in a minute of some of the amendments that were before you tonight. But just so you're oriented there. We also presented a site plan review for phase 2A, which is 8 units of homeownership and row houses. And we'll also be giving you an update on that project. I did just kind of want to put in your ear that we are starting design on phase 2B and 2C. We're applying for some funding, and I'm hoping sometime this spring or summer we'll be back in front of you for site plan review for 2B and 2C. That would bring 10 more units of affordable homeownership to this area. We're still working on phase 3. That'll probably be another year or 2 before we're really prepared to move forward with that plans, but just kind of wanted to provide you with this overview and what we're really going to dig in tonight. So I think first on your agenda is the phase 1 amendment. I'm going to stop sharing and turn us over to Austin from Abacus Architects to walk us through that amendment.
It looks like he's muted.
No, he should be able to. There he goes. Yep.
Hi there, everyone. Sorry, I was just getting my screen ready to share as well. So in our updated cover letter that we had shared, there were a number of items that we wanted to update the board on in regards to final construction versus the original proposal we had made again over a year ago. As construction has proceeded, some of these changes are minor, but we did want to bring all of these up. I'm going to briefly give a little bit of backstory and synopsis to each of these items before turning it over to Carlos to go into a little more detail on the planting side of things. So from the architectural perspective here, the building setbacks that was originally, I'm going to scroll down to the next page just so we have a point of reference here. We submitted these as-built condition plans that describe the building foundation in relation to the property lines. And the real change that we picked up in this process was the building being about 3 inches, maybe 3.25. Property lines are a little bit of an angle, closer to the Hamilton Street property line. And the reason being there was primarily during the MassWorks project, redoing the sidewalks in that area, we actually lost our benchmarks. So when we were operating off of the existing sidewalk. So although we are 3 inches closer to what was the sidewalk, the actual constructed sidewalk actually left us with a few more inches of grass, since they were believed to be continuous or on the same plane before, but now they've actually moved apart a little bit. So that's hence why we kind of chased the sidewalk and ended up a little closer to the property line, but we ended up with more grass in that area. So that is what the first item on the list was referring to in terms of building setbacks. It's at 17.4. So that did get closer by about 3 inches, depending on where you are along the property line. The other one here, which I'm going to have Carlos speak to a little bit more in a couple minutes, is the plantings, and right below it also is the yard drains. There was our original planting lists. There weren't necessarily all of those available at the local nurseries. So we had to make some substitutions, as well as some final site conditions that required us to change some of the actual planting locations, and kind of forced us to eliminate 2 of those trees on the site. Also, there were 2 additional yard drains added to help with stormwater mitigation on site, which we are keeping everything on site. This was to pick up a few other areas. Again, this had to do with some of the final work by MassWorks, since we were operating in tandem with them. They were redoing the sidewalks while we were working on our building. So some of our original assumptions had been modified by that project during construction. The last one here, we had said in our original work that we would come back to the board with final paint colors. The paint colors are up, so we'd invite you guys to come down and take a look. But those colors have been selected. Painting is 95%, if not 100% completed as of today. The next one on our list here, there was 2 windows that we eliminated from the project. I've marked them. I'm going to scroll down quickly. I've marked them out on our elevation drawings with an X. So these are 2 windows that were facing Hamilton Street. There's still plenty of other windows on that facade, so it's by no means a blank facade facing the street. We just encountered a little bit of furnishability in those bedrooms. Those bedrooms actually already have on that corner nice large windows, so these windows were relatively adjacent to that. So those did get taken out of the project. Let me see what's next on my list here. 2 more items. The one being.
Can I ask a quick question about the windows?
Sure.
Those windows were facing north, is that correct?
Yes, it's slightly on an angle, but yes. Yeah, relatively north.
Okay.
Right.
So it's also not like you're taking away south facing windows. North facing windows are.
Sure. Yeah, correct. And those, like I said, those bedrooms already have a giant set of double windows. So it was almost to the point that we realized that there wouldn't be anywhere to actually put a bed in the bedroom. Everything was glass at that point. The last 2 items I'm going to share on here, the one being these 3rd floor Juliet we were calling them Juliet balconies. They're sliders. There's a single slider on these large windows on the third floor with a guardrail in front of them. The guardrail is shown a little bit lower here. And as we submitted in some of our more detailed drawings, it had to be raised up a little bit to based on code interpretation and really for fall protection. We kind of were erring on the side of safety here. We had originally shown them a little bit lower, but now they've crept up an extra, I believe, about a foot in height. So from the outside, they'll still look like a normal guardrail. They were actually quite skinny before. Now they'll just look like a normal guardrail up there, mostly to keep everyone safe inside. And then the last item on the list there had to do with our what we've been calling HVAC alcoves. So up at the roof level, we already come to the board for the change there, where we had moved all the HVAC equipment off of each unit's individual rear deck up to this alcove on the roof, where we were then concealing everything behind this lower strip of roof here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. All the HVAC units they're just about the same height with that. So from the ground, they're not visible at all. The real change here was that in the truss design of the roof, we had those red doors you see up there set back another 3 feet. Those actually needed to come up flush with the rest of that alcove. So they're still set back another 6 feet from the edge of the roof there, but that alcove no longer exists. So there is a modification in the exterior there where those doors came a little more proud. And I'm going to actually ask Carlos to go into a little bit more detail on the plantings, just so I don't misspeak on any of that. Carlos, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, great.
And also, could you help me, because you have basically the same plans that I was trying to share with you. So if you could just help me here.
Yeah.
And I would start with the electric, because just tell us kind of the story of the change that we did here. First of all, good evening. My name is Carlos Nieto. I'm the landscape designer with Berkshire Design Group, and I've been working with Sarah and Holyoke Housing Authority in phase 1 as and also my office does the civil engineering for the project. So what we're seeing right now is some changes that happened. The initial change here in utilities that happened, which was with the electric. The electric utility and the original coordination with Holyoke Gas and Electric had the electric connection on Southeast Street. And after the sequence of construction and the project kind of moving along, Holyoke Gas and Electric did their did their analysis and realized that it was better to connect really to this post on the alleyway. So that made quite a change. In addition to the electric, it also included that those electric conduits had to be encased in concrete to be going along the alleyway and to the transformer. And then the area of the transformer pad now different than before, now has 2 big elements there, the transformer and Austin, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the name of the
Transclosure.
Yeah. So now that small island, all this explanation is to let you know that small island, we wanted to have turf there or lawn there, but the reality is that now it's all concrete. There's concrete encased pipes that are going underneath it. So really nothing can grow there. So one of the changes in the planting plan was that now that it's going to be a gravel area instead of a grass area, again, because it's not conducive to growth of grass anymore there. And there's less space than originally we had assumed before Holyoke Gas and Electric did their change to the electric design. If we go to the next image here. So the next one is our planting plan, and also has the drainage kind of design also overlaid. So you can understand why there are 2 trees, the ones with X that were removed from the design. We wanted to have those trees originally, but as the MassWorks project moved along and changes that had to be done for grading to match sidewalks on Hamilton and Southeast Street. The number 1 tree, there's now a drain, there's a small yard drain right underneath it and a drain line that goes in the same area. And we really did not, and that's a north side of the building too. And we really didn't want to have roots growing into a yard drain and a drainage system that we needed because the sidewalk elevations got a little higher than what we were expecting from the existing conditions. So that's one change. On the back area of the building, similar to the same conditions, there are some adjustments in regards to the alleyway and how that MassWorks has been working out. And that created a change in grade that required a small yard drain in that area that Austin is now locating. So we could keep the smaller tree that we had right next to it, but the drainage line then continues and needs to meet the existing main line that goes to our drainage system, and it was in direct conflict with the tree. We've also provided on the back some other elements like planters and so on. So we didn't really have, it's a very limited and small site. So we really didn't have another area really to move this tree to that made logical sense. So that's the reason why we had to eliminate the 2 trees. And I think Austin touched on the fact that we did change 2 varieties of plantings that we had originally permitted. They were a non-cultivar native was really hard to get for some of these, particularly like the dogwood, flowering dogwood that we had. So we went with a cultivar variety, which is it's a hybrid between a native dogwood and a non-native dogwood. It's more available on the industry, and it was available. And then the other one, it was a ground cover where we've been using a Carex, and the native alternative to that was a pure breed we couldn't find, or the contractor couldn't find. So we went back to again a hybrid, readily available cultivar. These 2 plants that we substituted, they're not invasive at all. They're not. They don't reproduce readily, with seeds that would be transmitted. They're, one of them is a small ground cover and just stays inside, and the other one's a tree that we're not going to have issues with invasiveness or anything with these 2 species. And then just to add, the rest of the species on the list are all natives. We try to keep the palette as native as possible. Those 2 have to change. And Austin, could you go to the next slide? I believe, yeah. This just talks about the changes in the drainage that I just mentioned that affected the trees. So this is the drainage plan. So we've called out the areas on the left. You'll see the change in the yard drain on Hamilton and Southeast Street corner that I talked about previously. And then on the back, on number 5, there's a change in the alleyway. Oh, and one last thing, and this is something that you wouldn't even see. The underground drainage structure had to be shoved or moved about 5 to 10 feet towards Hamilton Street. Because again, these changes that happened with the electric, there was all these other electric lines that had to go in that area, and we had to just shove everything to the side. But that's underground. You would never see this. It's just a underground chamber where the water goes. That's it for the changes, I believe, in the site plans.
Yep. Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, well, does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant about this? It seems very clear, the changes.
I am super excited for this project. I can't wait till it's completed.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry to hear about losing the 2 trees, but I can see why. I guess my only follow-up about trees is I know a bunch of the trees on the site are existing trees that you were protecting. And I guess, so my question is, like, since we're talking trees, did all those existing trees make it through? Are they all doing well? Because if not, maybe,
I want to clarify. I
Yeah.
mean, we did not keep any trees on this site. There were a couple of trees on this site, but they were smaller trees and they were really basically on the footprint where the building would go.
oh, so all the trees on the plan are new trees? Some of
They're
them
all new
stay
trees.
existing. Okay,
Yeah, they're all new trees. The only existing, and we call existing trees, they were proposed for the MassWorks project. So we show some trees that are outside of the project area.
okay.
Those will be the ones that were part of the MassWorks project.
Okay, yeah, my only question was gonna be like, if any of the older trees needed replacing, now might be a time to do it, but it sounds like they're all
Yeah,
new trees and hopefully doing well.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
yeah, no, and I too have to say, I appreciate the work. It looks great. And it is such a pleasure to find changes made for reasons other than value engineering. So,
Yes, affirmed.
and anyone from staff have any questions or comments?
No, I've got nothing.
May I ask, I know it's a little bit, it's outside the planning board domain, but I'm just really curious about what kind of soundproofing technologies you're using for the row houses. And also I understand some of these units are stacked units. They're vertically stacked. So I'm just curious about what kind of proofing technology you're using for, either row houses or for stacked units.
Yeah, just to be clear, so this project is this is not the townhouse project. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But these are 12 units of rental housing. And Austin, I'll turn it over to you about.
Sure. So primarily we have there's 3 components to make up any soundproofing between units here. So we've soundproofed from floor to floor as well as between each unit and the staircase. So it's pretty typical of separating common spaces from private spaces and then private spaces from each other. It's done, we're always using mineral wool insulation, often referred to as SAFB insulation, sound attenuating fiber bats. So that's if you're not familiar with mineral wool, it's kind of like fiberglass insulation, but made of stone. So it's real heavy. That goes in the floors and in the walls between those areas I was talking about, between units and between the common spaces and the units. The other two pieces of technology we used a staggered stud construction around the staircases themselves. So it's the 2 buys are offset from each other, so they don't actually touch anywhere except the very floor and the very ceiling. So that gives us a break of any sound transmitting that way. And then in the ceilings, we can't do that, but we use what they call a resilient channel, which is a flexible piece of metal to actually hold the drywall down. So it kind of acts as a spring to absorb any sound impacts between the units from one floor to the next.
Thank you. And do you use any kind of resilient underlayment on the floor right below the finished flooring and between the subfloor?
We do not. So those resilient channels coupled with the extra, we actually use 2 layers of drywall on the ceilings to help soak up some of that additional sound. We were able to reach the sound ratings without needing to add in that resilient underlayment. I do know what you're referring to. We add in a gypsum underlayment, but that's more of a solid material just to add mass for soaking up some of those sounds. But we don't use a flexible, you're referring to like a flexible rubber membrane.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, anything else, or are we ready to move along to part 2? Well, looks like we're ready to move along to part 2, if you would.
Great, thank you, Austin, for that. So phase 2, we came to you last spring. Those were the 8 units of attached row houses for affordable homeownership. That was designed by Icon Architecture, and Carlos actually was also the civil and landscape architecture on that project. So we did go out to bid this summer on this project, and we were very much hoping to start construction this fall. Unfortunately, our construction estimates for that project came at $2.5 million over what we had budgeted and anticipated. So unfortunately, phase 2, we are currently doing value engineering, looking for more funding, sort of talking to every contractor in the area to kind of understand all the variables about pricing these days. We are planning to rebid this winter. And so our hope is that we could start construction sometime this spring, but we are currently not in construction, still sort of in the value engineering and funding conundrum. So hoping to get some momentum later this winter and next year, and can certainly provide updates once we have a set schedule with having a bid that we can accept that's within our funding. So that is unfortunately where we're at, but hoping that we are making trying to figure out where there are some cost savings, and hopefully we can get a GC on board to build it.
Okay, well, unfortunate, but also unfortunately really foreseeable under current circumstances.
Yeah, I think we are certainly not the only project in this situation, but hoping that things will.
Yeah. Well, so do we all. So, hey, board have any questions? I see Rosanna's hand. I see gestures.
Kate has a question.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, my question was just gonna be, I can't remember when we approved this. Are we gonna run into, and maybe Jeff or Sarah might be able to answer, like, are we gonna run into any timeline concerns about when it gets started versus how long they have to get it started under our approval?
We're only anticipating an 8-month construction period. So I believe that even if we start construction in the spring, my understanding is that we are still okay, but I defer to Jeff completely.
So your, let's see, your decision was granted in,
July 2020.
this is phase 2 was March 28th of
Ah.
2022. So with that, you've got 2 years from that day to either substantially complete or, well, complete, substantially complete, or, seek an extension. So
Thanks, I
you
was
still have-
feeling like it had been longer ago than that, but.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it makes sense to ask you all, I think, to come back in 6 months and just give us an update about where things stand.
Absolutely, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
And maybe at that point, we would even have some amendments for you to consider if we, obviously are doing some value engineering, but no matter what, we'll be back in 6 months.
Yes, well, and we always like to hear what's going on.
And if anyone's interested in doing a tour, I'm always happy to bring folks through the building. So let me know and we can make that happen.
Oh, great. I know that there are several of us who love tours.
Great.
Okay. Well, anything?
so this is just a basic, for the
Yeah.
approval of the phase 1 amendments.
Sharon or Jeff, I was wondering, I mean, because this is amendment and, I don't think I was ever a part of the original hearing for this. Do I need to abstain from any voting matters around this amendment?
Because this isn't technically a public hearing, this is just a bringing up to of the amendments to, the project. and it's done outside of public hearing, I don't see where it would be a problem if you were to
Neither
vote
do
on it,
I.
but
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the amendments to the site plan for phase one?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Nathan,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Bernander? Bernander?
Yes.
Kate
Yes.
and Mimi.
Yes. Okay, thank you all very much, and we look forward to seeing it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, next up, we have a section 17172 review under the zoning ordinance for 37 Apple Street, or Appleton Street. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can talk tonight. And William Walter is the applicant.
it was William Walter on behalf of American Environmental. So I don't know if he's present. I see Alan, which I'm assuming Alan is from American Environmental.
And I see a hand up.
Okay, there we go. All right, so Greg is working as our site engineer. So if we can add him to this and allow him to speak.
He's
On
already
behalf-
got co-host abilities, so.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Greg Lockcheek, and I'm a civil engineer at Alfred Bench Company. I'm representing our client, Alan Dunn of American Environmental. This project is essentially just putting up a small sheet metal building just for temporary purposes over the winter before full site construction. This project's located on 37 Appleton Street, located on the corner of Appleton Street and Canal Street. It formerly contained a large on-grade industrial building that was recently demolished, and it was left with just the existing concrete slab as the base of the whole site, essentially. American Environmental is the owner of the property, and they desire to put a 50 by 60 metal frame building at their site. This to be used for storage of materials that are already on the site, and they would like to construct this building if possible this fall in preparation for the winter conditions. The future plans do involve a much larger and full renovation of the site, and it is their intent to initiate site design this spring. But based on discussions and correspondence with Jeff Burkott, site plan review is not required, but we have received a comment from Jeff that a stormwater permit will be required, and I could share a screen to kind of go over our site plan as well as the layout.
Now, I don't know whether this is happening with anybody else, but from my connection, yeah, okay.
Greg, you're coming in and
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got video contact. We do not have audio contact.
So am I being, I'll be a little closer. All right, can you guys hear me better now?
So far, so good.
Okay, I think I'm just a little too far away from my microphone. So did you miss most of what I said?
There were gaps in it.
Okay, so essentially this project is a existing recently demolished industrial building that took up essentially the whole lot. What's left is just a concrete slab. And we're proposing to put a 50 by 60 metal sheet building on the site. And the only change to the site, there would be no imperviousness added to the site, but the only change to the site would be putting up this building, and any earthwork would be that would be involved would be a small concrete footing around the outside of the building. There are no changes to the traffic movement. There's no changes to anything going on, to what's going on the site currently. It's currently being used for storage of materials and equipment, and they plan on doing the same thing, just with some indoor storage as well. Discussion with Jeff Burkott.
Yeah.
We came to that we do not need a site plan review, but we will be needing to submit a an application for a stormwater permit, which we will be sending out in the next.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll need more on phase 2, but phase 1 is really just a check-in from our
This-
point of view.
This is going to be treated as a completely separate project. So this isn't a phase 1 and phase 2. This is just the project involving the sheet metal building. I'm just saying that moving forward, there will be more development. Would you like me to share a screen to show the site plan of the proposed design?
That would be useful, yes.
Yes. Okay. Want to see the screen?
Yeah,
On the PDF sheet right now, correct?
yeah, you just,
Okay, yep. So here we have Appleton Street shown on this side of the property line and North Canal Street. We're proposing to put this building in here. This isn't the exact property boundary. It's from GIS mapping provided by the town. So we offset it off of the property line by approximately 5 to 10 feet just to be safe. 5 feet just to be safe. So we're really doing no new impact to the site. It's just going to be this sheet metal building, which can fabricated building, 14 by 14 with metal siding. Some images of similar buildings from the same manufacturer. Like to.
Do you have any indication where the pins are? Because I'm gonna tell you, the GIS mapping, as it says on the main end, when you first open, it says, this is for illustrative purposes only. It should not be used in conveyancing. And I'm gonna tell you that area, it's the line work is not perfect. And I can also tell you that in the mid-90s, the parcel lines were dragged to the edge of curbing for better presentation purposes, not my doing, someone else's. So with that, I wouldn't just go off the idea of adding 10 feet to your I know that an IG doesn't have a front yard setback, but you probably would be in your best interest to actually find out where the actual, bounds are before I built anything.
We do not currently have any surveyed information of this parcel. We could supply some supplemental information with some deeds and mapping to show the parcel and exactly where our property line is. But we currently.
You don't have to show it to me, but upon presenting for a building, because as we know, this is only a 7172 review. But I would just be concerned about where you're going to place this. And so upon going for a building permit is when you'd probably want to make sure that you have a pretty decent survey plan.
I can't speak on back for what Will has to say, but Will was confident and he felt good that this is not on the property line. But besides that, I don't currently have any other property boundary information.
Okay, well, I'm just putting it out there. I'd be very careful because it's the line work on the GIS map is only a planning tool. It is not it is nothing that should be used for surveying or conveyancing.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
okay.
Talking-
Okay,
Talking to
hold
Will.
on, hold on a moment. Who's drawing on the screen? I don't know who that is.
That was not me.
I didn't think it was. I gotta see who I'm gonna put back in the waiting room.
Yeah, a whole lot of people are trying to join and
And I don't know why either. I need to stop screen
Yeah.
share. Nobody has rights to,
That was a hack, Sharon.
I understand. I'm looking right now to see what's
Okay.
going on.
yeah, no, it looks like an organized kind of group. A whole lot of people coming in at once from,
Yeah,
we don't even know where.
I am going to, we have people raising their hand. I don't know how you want to handle that. Will that explain the interruption, or do they have this one gone? Someone back?
Well, we're not in public hearing, so nobody has an inherent right to speak at this point.
Good call. If they
Under the
want-
circumstances, if you're anybody who we haven't kicked out who's listening, the issue is in fact that we are being Zoom bombed and we are just not going to give people access until we have a better idea of what's going on. And, we're
If
sorry.
they want to send an email to constan@holyoke.org, I would be happy to screen what it is their intent is.
Okay,
So apologies, I don't know where we left off.
I don't know where we left off either, but I'm sure we can find our way back. We were talking about the actual site and the lines and setbacks when we began seeing drawings on top of the plan that were not put there by the applicant.
So what I was saying, Jeff, is Will,
Can we have
Um,
your name and address for the record, please?
my name's Alan Dunn. I'm representing American Environmental for the building on 37 Appleton
Thank
Street.
you.
So talking to Will, who would be stamping the plan, he said he felt he couldn't put the building close to the property line, but he said, putting it 5 feet away from the property line, I will stamp the plan and I'm confident that you are not building on the property line.
But that was based on a GIS map, correct?
I'm not sure what he was basing that on.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not here to look, we're not looking at survey plans today. This is just, the 7172 review. But I would just, it's got to be more than a GIS plan that you're going to be stamping. And I can talk to Will about that if necessary.
Okay.
I would like to also add that we're not only 5 feet off the property line. I believe we're 10 feet off the property line and 5 feet off the back of walk. Just to add that.
5 feet up, I'm sorry, what was that?
We're 5 feet off of the back of the walk.
Okay, but,
Yeah, I just wanted to add that. I know that's not property information, but
no. So is there anything else on your end to present, or can the board or staff continue to ask questions?
no, feel free, please ask any questions.
And does staff have more questions that we would like to ask?
Well, I do, but I just wasn't sure if there was anyone else on the board that might have anything.
Yeah, no, outside, or Kate, was that you raising your hand or was that you flipping through papers?
So,
Okay,
okay, so
yes,
one of
I
the
think
questions
you're
I
on.
have, I'm sorry, thank you. Is that when I was earlier talking to Will, he mentioned there being a transformer being stored in this facility or this structure. But then later in the submittal, it states that the building will not be serviced by any utilities. So is there any electrical, is there any water, is there anything to this, or is it just basically a box on the site?
It's just a box on the site with a 200 amp service, a temp service, because they're looking for a shed or something to build. They won't just put a temp service up. So they were looking for an enclosure. So the owner thought maybe we just build this building. I could store stuff in there and be done.
So then, now I've heard a couple occasions at this point, is this a temporary building or is this is this permanent to the site?
It's gonna be there probably for the duration of the construction of the new building. So I'm guessing it's gonna be in place for a year, probably 2 years.
Okay.
And then eventually he will be requesting another permit to move this into a different spot.
Okay, so, okay, that's. That would have been nice to probably have had it in the narrative information. Because as though, I'm sure it's easy for some to have that in the record, because in our world, you know, we're looking at it where you're presenting it now. There was no reference to it being called a temporary structure.
Well,
And
the way
temporary, almost temporary really is permanent.
that's the way Damien explained it. There really isn't such a temporary building. So
Okay. And as far as, you know, in the response, it says the proposal seeks to decrease outside storage. What is the current outside storage?
it's actually, it's materials we have from our other site on Canal Street. We're gonna move
Yeah.
some of this over there.
What are those materials?
All non-combustible stuff. It could be fire rated poly, it could be equipment that we use for abating. We have different machines that we use for abating. So he's trying to clean up that site, the other site on Canal Street.
But what is the poly that you just referred to?
So when we use when we do asbestos, we use a lot of poly, 6 mil poly. So
Okay.
he's been buying it from China, skids, pallets of poly.
Okay, so to a lay person, what is poly?
Plastic.
Okay, so plastic sheeting,
Yes, yes.
but there's no asbestos being stored on this site.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's just material.
Just material to take and bring to a job site and do the, you know, abate the asbestos and that's it.
So it's just materials that would normally get the job, that the off-site job done. There's nothing being brought back here and
Correct.
stored or anything like that.
Correct, Jeff.
And will there be motor vehicles stored in this
No,
structure?
no,
Nothing that would be stored, nothing that would have fuel in it?
no, nothing that would have fuel, all electrical equipment.
I'd like to ask a question about the utilities, because I know when we write the 7172 letter, it does ask about utilities. And I don't remember exactly how we have it phrased, but so you're saying that in terms of the electrical, there's not currently electrical to the site where the building is? And they won't give you electrical until the building, tell me if this is correct. They won't give you electrical until the building is up, but then it will be electrified? Is that the
Yes.
correct interpretation? Okay.
This is
so-
basically our temp service to build the new building in the spring.
Okay, so it sounds like that's something we need to figure out how to phrase in the letter.
Yes, absolutely. So at this point, staff has nothing else. I just wanted to thank you for that clarification.
Okay, final call. Anyone on the board have any further questions? Okay, well, hearing none, I assume that we can let you go for the evening and we will see about getting this letter out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, with the board's indulgence, I think I'm going to add or go out of order here and ask our attorney, who I see is still with us, whether there are there any particular concerns about how we just handled that intrusion? Because on the one hand, obviously, this is not a public hearing. We didn't need to allow comment. It is a public meeting and people are entitled to access. So I don't know. I think that the people who were trying to come in and scribble all over our screen left voluntarily once they realized that wasn't happening. But
I will let you know that I removed them and put them in the waiting room and then they left. But I have a security feature on the setup where no one can unmute themselves. They can't start the video. They can't share a whiteboard. They have to be made a co-host to be able to have those abilities. So I do not know how that intrusion happened.
Well,
one had, they were not co-hosts.
Yeah, no, sometimes, who knows? And I think it doesn't matter in the long run. They went away. But for the future, if Attorney Bissonnette has any guidance for us about how we should be handling these things, we might as well discuss it now, I think, because it happened once, it can happen again. And, just because people aren't entitled to comment doesn't mean that we're entitled to kick them out entirely. Just
I think the sheriff handled it perfectly. They were relegated to the waiting room and then they were basically eliminated from the discussion for their actions. No one has a right to disrupt a public hearing, whether in person or by audio or video. So in this case, there's no absolute right to be able to see or hear the meeting if you're a disruptive force. It's entirely within the province of the person chairing the meeting to make that clear. And once it's made clear, to eliminate any distractions from the meeting's business. So in this case, I think it was handled perfectly. I would again encourage at the first sign of trouble, and we've seen this at council meetings with some pretty vile things happening said, and not by the members of the council, I might add, in this case. But I would note that hitting the mute all button by a host or co-host seems to eliminate that. If they can't get their message out, they just go away. So someone has to play sheriff on these meetings. And Sharon, tonight you have the badge.
Well, I always have that badge and they don't have the ability to unmute themselves. So I don't know how they came in. This is the first time in 2 years that this has happened to us. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know either. And, I'm happy to know that we're not breaking open meeting laws rules here. My concern, of course, is that we had, it must have been like a dozen of them come in all at once. And for all I know, some of them just wanted to hear the meeting, but I doubt it under the circumstances. You just, you don't want to kick out people who aren't bad actors. But as long as we are within the boundaries of the law and know that we can do this if it happens again, that's great. And thank you.
The only caution I would make is during your public hearings, you're going to have to vet, as long as we're still in the hybrid mode, we're going to have to continue to vet those individuals who are not adequately identified but wish to speak by raising their hands, but we can't see them on video, nor do we have sufficient information to identify them from their own self-IDs on Zoom. So it becomes a bit of a challenge. Not sure how much longer it's going to go on. We're due through March, I believe now. But this is something to just keep an eye on for all the Zoom meetings.
Yeah, no, it's much easier, obviously, if we're in public meeting rather than public hearing.
I have a question. I don't want to do anything to discourage the general public who might simply be curious from coming to the meeting. But when people come in person, they have to sign in and say who they are. So I wonder whether it's acceptable or if there are any risks, again, and not wanting to quell people's interest in joining just for their own reasons. But you know, if somebody's joining who we don't recognize, is it acceptable for the host to message and say, you know, people need to sign into the meeting? Or, you know, that might discourage bad actors. But I don't want to discourage the general public.
I
And one of the
wonder if-
rules of signing in is not to attend the meeting. Any member of the public can attend the meeting, doesn't give them a right to speak. That's governed by the rules of the legislative body holding the session, subject to the chair's approval. So what you've got is a situation of public access. And if you have a public speaking portion or some type of public input portion during your hearing section, there has to be a mechanism to identify who is going to speak and in what order, particularly if there are limits such as 10 speakers per public meeting. So that's when you can require identification. You can do the same on Zoom. If someone has not fully identified but wishes to speak, you can require that they identify before being recognized by the chair.
Yeah, perhaps by like renaming themselves with their address that they live at or something.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be fine.
That would mean that, you know, you have to give, Sharon will have to give them the permission to rename in the security setting. I know some meetings, they deliberately prevent that so people don't keep messing with their names. So it's a hard question. And
Can you
I-
set up yourself on your Zoom as your sign in person before you even try to join the meeting? Doesn't it work that way?
Yep, it does. Yeah, it works.
So I could
Yep.
put a message in the waiting room that
Yeah.
if they wish to speak, they need to change their settings to a name and an address.
Right.
So, well, it's all right. We got a good record. First time, you know,
And with any luck, this is going to be irrelevant because it won't happen again.
that's it.
And it wasn't even very interesting this time.
That was really scary though. Like, I mean, were they able to unmute themselves? Like,
No, but I let
They
them
were
in.
able to draw on the screen, which is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that was interesting, but I let them in.
Okay.
So I let in like 3 or 4 and they just
Right.
kept seeming to go in and come back out.
yeah, no, I let in a bunch more because they just popped up on my screen and we've never had an issue like that before.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and when
think
there's
that
screen
was-
sharing going on, I can't see everybody that comes, that
Yeah,
pops
but
up.
it looked like a whole consortium. There were a lot of them
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Coordinated.
Yeah, the tip off was a number of people trying to enter the meeting all at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, one interesting thing they did was, I guess, you know, when you were in the gallery view where we can see everybody in the meeting, when you raise and lower your hands, it changes your position on the screen. So one person kept rapidly like raising and unraising their hand. So the screen kept jumping, flickering
Yeah.
like crazy.
yeah, which could
Yeah.
actually be dangerous if we had anybody with
Right.
certain
Right. Yeah. Epilepsy.
neurological
Right.
issues. But at any rate, I think we've got this covered and we can go back to the actual agenda. And thank you for letting me get to that before I forgot to address it. So I think we have a draft letter here.
Again, obviously, it's just a draft letter. It's your letter. I only, I did a brief review. It's, at the tail end of this, you can see the actual, if Sharon, if you scroll down, the actual ordinance is there. And it's primarily B are the items that you're addressing in this letter. And the thing is, I'm calling it phase 1. And so as we heard him say in the discussion that phase 1, it's not going to be phased. Well, that's the way it was described to me. And that's why I made a point to say phase 1. I'm gonna argue that the board, and it's up to the board at the end of the day, but I would leave the phasing there because that's the way that the Will Walter explained it to me, and he was the original engineer doing the work on this. It's a phase one in my mind, knowing that there's another project coming and that this building might be relocated elsewhere on the site. So to kind of
Yeah,
let those other departments that might be reviewing this after you know that this isn't, isn't the last you'll see of them. That sounds kind of harsh,
Yeah.
but
yeah, particularly since it was interesting to read through the correspondence, and there was a point at which they referenced the fact that the building is modular and can be picked up and moved, and they kind of expected to do that.
right. And actually looking at the RE on this, it says, like, I'm wrong project. Sorry, I got the wrong paperwork in front of me. I thought I could have swore it said phase one on it, but anyway, my apologies, sorry. The paperwork.
So I think we need to rephrase number 4 a little bit since it is going to have electric.
So, well, how about something like, because the building will not be provided with electrical service until it is constructed, we can't really estimate the drain on the system at this point. And I think it's fair to assume that it's not going to be a problem for our infrastructure. But we just don't know how much of a draw that they're going to want for the building. Sorry.
That's what was said. Is that what we're sticking with?
Well, it won't be provided electric service. I mean, we know that it's not going to be an electricity generator.
Whoops.
Until its completion.
Sound good?
Yeah, I think so. And that just,
Or maybe before you erase that, Sharon, oops. Like no other public utilities are required.
yeah, due to the nature of the project, no other utilities are required.
Is that what we're looking for?
Looks good to me.
There's no additional, is that, do those two sentences go together? no additional public utilities beyond electric are required.
Well, at some point, should, in one of these, it be included that this is a, I mean, I'm gonna argue, he said temporary. So is at this point, do you say because of the nature of this temporary, or due to the nature of this temporary, or the proposed, I mean, I feel that the word temporary should go in there because at the end of the day, this thing is, I mean, it's going to be moved.
Temporary building? Or how about because the
Due to the
temporary
nature of
building-
this project, which is designed to be temporary.
Or temporary at the proposed location?
Yeah.
Or at the current location?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Are we good with the number one?
My only other question was number 6.
Yeah, mine too. But I think we're good 1 through 5.
I was
One little-
wondering if, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Kate. One little thing I was wondering was, right above the number list, the sentence that says, please be advised that it's November 15th, so on, so on. I think you're repeating the reference to section 7.1.72 twice. It says, the above reference project per section 7172 of the Holy Zoning Ordinance, and then it says section 717 again. I understand you're trying to reiterate, but I'm wondering if it'll flow fine if you just take out the first reference that says section 7172. Just say, per Holy Zoning Ordinance. Oh, keep the no, don't delete that part. Just delete up to section 7172.
So that's the actual, let's see, we're calling out the section and then so calling out the section and then the actual section in the ordinance. And I'm okay if you edit this, but I'm just saying, I did that on purpose because that's the way the ordinance reads.
Okay, that's fine then. Yeah.
Because I'm calling out the section and then stating the section. So,
Right.
It's 6 1/2 dozen the other. If you want to get rid of it, you're more than welcome to, but it's just, in the ordinance, it's 717 industrial uses in industrial districts, and then it's 2 standards for industrial districts. So I'm calling out the original section and then I'm quoting it directly from the ordinance. But I could see where it is redundant to a degree, but I'm not married to it, but if, it's,
I have a suggestion that might answer both. If the second part of it, when you repeat it, is put in parentheses, because I understand why you put it there, but that might set it off as like it being different rather than
That way?
it sets it off as a restatement. How about that? What Sharon's just done.
And how about this?
I don't think it needs to be bold. Yeah.
Does that work?
Yes, and I think the comma right before the parentheses can be taken out. Thank you.
All right, so back to number 6.
Yeah.
What would people think of this? Maybe this is overstating it. The project as proposed does not increase outdoor storage of materials. And it could say the project as proposed does not increase outdoor storage of materials and may in fact reduce it.
Well, see, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of backstory to it, if I may. The issue with this is under 6.3, it says no outdoor storage of material or equipment shall be established or maintained in any district except BG, BH, IG, or IP. And then when only incidental to the operation of a business or industry and only in compliance with the following. So there's nothing with the following that have any issues other than that one sentence that says, incidental to a business or industry. But at this point, it's a vacant lot. So what is the incident? What is the primary use? That was one thing I was hoping to try to establish in that discussion.
Yeah, but one way of thinking about this, though, and I realize that to a certain extent it is just eliding the problem, is the project is not everything going on that lot. The project is the erection of this one structure, which they're going to put stuff in. So the project doesn't increase storage of outdoor, or it doesn't include the storage of outdoor materials. There may be outdoor materials stored there, but that's not this project.
You're right.
And
That's true.
we can just say so and move on if we don't want to get too deep in the weeds.
So maybe
When
the
they come-
original sentence is just fine.
Yeah. And it is something that we will have to get into when they come back with their real project.
Right.
But
Right.
at this phase, I think we can just define project as being that one building, and it doesn't.
That's fair.
And then the 4643 is just the reference to barbed wire and the further description of that, which we typically include in all these letters.
All good?
Looks all good to me. Anything else from anybody? Okay. Motion to approve the letter?
So moved.
Second.
By roll call vote, Nathan,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Berninder, Kate,
Yes.
Mimi,
Yes.
4-0. Unless Berninder's there.
Yep.
Oh, okay, 5-0. Okay. That's it. Planning board business.
Can I just take something out of order, please? Just
Please
briefly.
do.
Okay, so just another thing to note is on this Zoom meeting, we have a new city solicitor, attorney in the law department, and she is going to be, I believe, to at least our last discussion, kind of like our designated go-to when we have zoning related questions, land use questions, and amongst other things within the planning department. And her name is Jane Mantaleski, and I may not be pronouncing that right, but she is the new, our new attorney helper representative, and I've had a couple opportunities to meet with her about our River Dance project, and I don't know if she wanted to introduce herself, but I'm trying, if she's there.
Yes, she's been here.
Thank
I've
you.
been wondering who she was.
Thank you.
It's me.
Thought she was a reporter.
No. So yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to help out with anything zoning, planning related. So I have a history last 10 years about I've been, doing mostly zoning, land use, practice for a private practice at a firm, and just recently joined the city last week Monday. So I'm happy to be here, and again available any questions, anything like that. And yes, Jeff, you did pronounce my last name correctly, so it's phonetic. So
Well, welcome. We're so happy
Thank
that you're
you.
here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
happy to be here.
Yay. We hope you don't regret that in the days and weeks to come.
Not at all. I would never regret it.
So do we want to finish the rest of planning board business and then the executive session,
I
or?
think that makes a lot more sense than,
Okay. Okay.
okay, so project updates, old business, new business. What have we got?
Well, so we've got the board discussion. I wasn't sure where we really left off with that at our last meeting. So, and I wasn't sure if we had everybody in the room at that point. So we just left it on as a point of discussion if there was anything further to discuss. And if there's not, I can move on because there's a couple other items.
I think the minutes that I had submitted may have said that we had all concluded that it was try to encourage the
Yeah.
applicants to present hybrid.
Yeah, the remote presentations are just much easier to access. And I think actually they're better even if you're in person. A lot of the time, what you can see on the screen is better than what you can see from across the room. I remember some of those billboards and whiteboards just being, you had to get up and look at them anyway. So that was my understanding of where we had left it. And, I know that it would be lovely to be living in a non-pandemic world and for everybody to be able to be back in the room without worrying about it. But we're certainly not there yet.
Okay, so if I may, I've got a couple other items just as project updates, old business, new business. So a couple things in no particular order. For what it's worth, I was checking the transfers, and the church up at the corner of Hamden and Pleasant has recently sold to Dennis Bolduc under his, I'm assuming it's his initials. And I know that you can currently buy the church pews. I think he wants $200 a piece for them. I saw those on Marketplace the other day. So anyways, just a project update there. I noticed that the fence at 249 Hamden Street has been installed, and that was around that car lot by the old Scott's Auto. I do notice it's not black. I'm not, we do have a new zoning enforcement agent that started yesterday, but I know that he's currently going through in-house training just to kind of get his knowledge up to as to what's going on in the office before he ventures out. So it's all very new. This is only a second day. So there's that. The next item, obviously we have a new representing attorney. That's wonderful. I have some sad news that Damian Cody has tendered his resignation, and his last day will be November 23rd. There was talk about during his resignation that he might do some contract work after hours, but I don't know if that's final, and it's I guess stay tuned.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's the job posting went up for he tendered his resignation. I think it was last Monday, not Tuesday. And I know that the job ad was up on Friday. So it's still new to all of us.
So actually, this gives us an instant question for Jane, which is, the building commissioner is obviously the interpretive and enforcement agent for the zoning ordinance. If that seat is empty, who has the authority to rule on this stuff? Should a question arise?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think hoping that there's going to be an acting, I believe, at some point in the interim. But I will look into it a little further. I'm getting very intimate with your charter and your codes of ordinance.
I bet you are.
So I will definitely look into that and get back to you guys with an answer.
Thanks. Yeah, obviously not an instant answer, because if there were one, we wouldn't need to ask you. But yeah, what a mess.
And then as another project update, myself and Jane have been working on the details for the River Dance, or project formerly known as River Dance, now known as Northampton Street Residential Project. So we're just waiting now for them to submit something to us. And, we made that special meeting for the 29th. And as I believe most of you are aware, that they're going to be seeking a continuance. So we'll see where that goes. Then, which they were seeking a continuance to the 13th, but that's for that's for a topic that we can discuss shortly when we get to scheduling. As I said, we've got the new zoning officer. Please bear with me. The Temple Street zone change was approved and formalized, and so now I guess it's up to the applicant to understand that they have to come for those special permits, because now it's being treated as if it's a new project, not a pre-existing type of project. So they will need to go through 7 to 13A to then get their eventual repair licenses. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah. No, I don't have any inside information about this, obviously. I have not gone door to door asking people, but I heard rumors that there are people who were, abutters who were very unhappy about that zone change. And, at least as of 30 years ago, which is the newest authority that I have sitting on my desk, it was pretty obvious that any one of them could bring a challenge in land court to that zone change if they wanted to.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I'm gonna go to the public comment section. I'm gonna step out of this discussion. Just please continue, but I'm just gonna step into the public comment section because I'm a butter.
Yeah, no, you are permanently recused from this one. But no, I was curious about what the actual consequences were of a spot zone. We recommended against the zone change on the grounds that it was a spot zone and that the law department had said as much. And then I was curious about, okay, so it's a spot zone, so what happens next? And it looked to me, because I have a really old edition of a handbook on Massachusetts planning and land use law, like it was an interesting situation because abutters who were aggrieved by this did have a standing to challenge it in land court and request a determination of whether the zone change was legitimate or not. And as though you didn't even have to show injury, which is unusual. You just had to go in and say, hey, look, is this a valid zone change? And, the business, if I had to go through a special permit application before the city council with everything that our special permit for a repair shop entails, I might want to know whether the zone change was going to be challenged in court before I went to all of the trouble. And, that's just a footnote to the other discussion. I have no reason to think that anybody's going to do it. It just, if there were ever a paradigm for this is a spot zone, this strikes me as something that would be a spot zone. So, we'll see. And the applicant, the owner of the property will say. I'm sorry, Rosanna?
So my question is, to piggyback on what Jeff says, so who is going to follow up as far as his permits, right? Because he's obviously been operating without the permits. So what's to say that now he's actually going to get the permits? Who's going to monitor that?
Well, I think it's a city council permit.
So it doesn't matter?
Well, so I mean, he arguably, the reason why they were supposedly going through this process was because at this point, he's never had a real automobile or rather motor vehicle repair license. So presumably, I mean, I would say greater minds would say that his attorney should have advised him that he needs to go for that license. But also assuming that in the future, this zoning enforcement officer will be somewhat up to date, eventually he could go knocking at the door and say, are you licensed? And if not, go get that. You've got 30 days to get the appropriate license. And at that point, he would be then directed by staff that he needs to get these, the motor vehicle repair special permit, which is another city council special permit. So, I mean, there's really no mechanism for us to, to say, randomly call him up and say, by the way, you need this. It would just be upon him trying to get successfully licensed if that's the route here he's trying to do. Otherwise, it would become a complaint, say, of a neighbor that if there wasn't, that he wasn't properly licensed at that point, then the zoning enforcement agent would go to the site and say, you need to get this or cease and desist until such time as you do. I'm making it up as I go along, but it sounds about right.
Yeah, no, that's like, basically, it's all out of our hands. And the only reason I'm even talking about it now is because we have these continuing discussions with the city council with zone changes about what's a spot zone and what isn't. And so far in my time, at least, the city has gotten lucky in that nobody has actually attempted to challenge any of our determinations or the city council's determinations about zone changes. And, I think that whatever happens with this, it might have implications for the next time we get an application for a zone change that looks like it's probably a spot zone and we say no and the city council says yes. I mean, this is not the first time we have been through this particular rodeo. So I will be interested to see what happens, but 41 Temple is no longer our problem, really.
I have a question for James, speaking of 41 Temple. With your new role, are you going to be the person that monitors what amendment number that is, or that will remain with Kathy?
I think I'll be taking over it. So I know she drafted, so I would say for the meantime, definitely on any projects or permits or zone changes that have been historically with Kathy or Mike or whomever, Jean, that you copy them, you continue to correspond with them, but also CC me. And then moving forward, as new projects or new permits come online, I will be handling it.
Okay, so just so that you know, I'm the person that keeps the database of all these zone changes, so I can tell you what number should be up next.
Okay, perfect.
And then planning waits for the copy of that official record to then move forward to put it in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, perfect.
So usually the one
Thank you.
with the city seal on it, that little stamp one, we wait for.
Okay, sounds
And often we have to hunt it down, so I hope that stops.
And I think right now, I don't know if ironically is the right word, but I know that we got the 41 Temple Street final document, but we never got the one that was from September 1st for 474 Pleasant Street, which is the Camden and Pleasant site. And that was September 1st, whereas the 41 Temple was in October, and we've already got that one.
So I'll send a little love note to you, Jane, tomorrow, what I appear to be missing and where we're at. We'll go from there.
Perfect.
Thank you. So other than that, I just wanted to, I had one more item of other businessness. And this was to Gernander, that I did go to the Popeyes site a couple days after you and I had spoke. And I didn't see an extra dumpster on the site. There was nothing there that wasn't approved on the site plan review.
Yeah, the second day I went there too. They move it.
Where did they move it to?
I have no idea. It's not there
Okay, so
anymore.
okay, so in other words, they took it out. It's no longer present.
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Okay.
Because I'm passing there every other day.
Okay.
And second and third day I was watching, it's like, wow, it's gone already.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Okay, then we're on to the meeting schedule.
So on the meeting schedule right now, we've got it was what was originally the continuation of the Northampton Street residential development, and that it appears as though they're seeking to continue that. Obviously, we still have to open and continue it that evening. And I know that, they themselves are asking for it to be heard, or asked to the continuation rather. Let's see, we'll be scheduled on a balloon float. It says this is for the balloon float, but they're asking to be put on the 13th agenda. And obviously that's up to the board to make the determination. The next available meeting, if it wouldn't be that night, would be January 10th. On December 13th, we've got the remand hearing number 2, to the best of our knowledge. And we've got the ADU hearing with the city council.
That's a long night.
That is a long night.
I was just gonna say, I don't think that's gonna work for the 13th.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put odds on at least one of those things getting postponed again.
Yeah. I think the question is, I think I too would put odds on one of them getting continued again. And the question is really, how do we want to handle this? Do we want to put both of these items on for the 13th in the expectation that the odds are very high, we're only going to be hearing one because we will hear between now and then that one has to be continued? Or do we want to just make our best guess about which one is going to not go forward now and schedule it out further? As I recall, with the remand hearing, one of the things that we were clear about when we spoke to them last was that we would need all of the submission materials to go forward with that session of the public hearing. And we would need them 30 days in advance. And today is the 15th.
This probably we need to go to executive session to muddle through all of this. I guess my question is, at what point do we need to make a firm decision? Do any of these need publication or any other thing that means we can't wait to decide until the 29th?
No. I think
Can we just get to the 29th and be like, well, you've asked to be deferred until the 13th, but we can't actually fit you on that day. So sorry.
I think we can certainly agree that we're going to continue it because we're going to have to open and continue that night anyway. We will need to continue to a date certain because, that's the way it works. But I think you're right. I don't see any reason that we can't choose the date certain on the 29th. We just have to warn the applicant that we have scheduling issues and they may not get the 13th.
Is there any reason why he could not still have his balloon flying on the December 2nd? Jeff, is there something that says it's got to be just 30 days before the meeting?
No,
Okay,
there's
so,
nothing. The balloon fly is totally independent of the hearing.
okay.
Okay, then why don't we do that? And we will agree in advance that they will be continued. So we will not be hearing them in 2 weeks, but we probably won't settle on a date until we know more about the rest of our schedule.
So we won't settle on a date until on the 29th.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay,
Okay, so then other than that, on December 13th, as we know, that's when the scheduled meeting 2 is supposed to happen, as well as the zone change for ADUs as a joint public hearing with the city council. The board has already determined that December 27th, there'll be no meeting. And then on January 10th, we've got the food truck discussion potentially to a tentative there on January 10th. And the next meeting after that would be January 24th, but we've got nothing scheduled for then either.
we will by then. Okay, then, and we have minutes.
we do.
And I gather that there have been some comments that Kate sent in.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull them up in just 1 second. I think September 27th planning. Waiting for it to load. There we go. This one here needed. Anything we can do for that Westfield Target project?
Yes, my recollection of this is that I updated the board about our contacts with the Westfield authorities about this. And I'm pretty sure by then that I knew that the mayor and I were scheduled to meet with the mayor of Westfield to talk about it. And that the Westfield Planning Board had not either closed its public hearing or voted on the project at that time. And that was the basic substance of the discussion. And if you want better wording, I can work on that.
No, I can add the fluff. I just wanted to make sure.
And
And
if that sparks anybody's memory and there's other stuff that got said that ought to be as part of the minutes, by all means, but you know, that was where we were at the time.
for Jane's purposes, this recording of this meeting was inaudible. So the minutes have been created based on everybody's memory, and I was not in attendance. So that's the reason we're filling in the blanks on this one. Okay. So I'm good on that one unless anyone else has anything else. Oops. I don't know why that's bolded. Struck. Okay. No one else, I think, had anything on this set of minutes.
Yeah, no. At the
Hold on,
time,
sorry, which minute is this?
this is September 27th, the meeting.
Right.
September.
You were not there, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, I found a few typos. I looked at it. I know I wasn't in it. I like looked at it.
Sure. Can you say them or do you want me to screen share again?
Yeah, sorry, would you? Yeah, would you screen
Okay.
share again?
Yeah. Stay with us.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
one is on the very top, like the first page. So Kate's listed, wait, in the first paragraph. So Kate's listed as the secretary in the first paragraph, or one above that. Wait, am I looking at the?
You probably are looking at the other planning meetings where I kept Kate's as a signature line.
Never mind, sorry. And is this the one that talks about the ADU? Is this the minute that talks about ADU, or is this another?
That's a different one.
That's a different
Oh,
one.
okay, okay. So sorry, never mind.
It's
Yeah.
okay, get rid of those.
Okay.
The other one. Kate, which one did you comment on today?
I had a couple different comments. But I've kept track, whichever one you pull up and I have something to say about, I'll say it.
Okay, so the next one would be minutes right here. The zone change for 50% living space. I don't think anyone had any correction on that one.
Right. I didn't.
Okay, I didn't get anything back. And just because Gernander was not in attendance doesn't mean he doesn't put his name to it. If I'm understanding correctly, he's putting his name on it just to note that the minutes were discussed and reviewed.
Voted on.
So just for clarification there. Whoops. The other one is the ADUs from September 27th. Okay, Kate Vice Chair, Kate Secretary. I got you, Nathan.
I think I had some minor changes on that one that I sent you.
Okay, so then if you have, I know.
Okay.
Right, I put them in bold.
Okay.
The changes that you had recommended so that those that already read them could see what we've changed. Just adding the word possibly right here.
We can't see it.
Oh, that would help. Thank you. Okay, so the word possibly was added right here and later possibly expand to other zones. Delete that line.
I just basically wanted you to move because it wasn't that they were all not enforceable, just the one.
Yeah. So I don't think that's a huge change. A word down.
And the
Yeah.
what the Mimi Panich stated, I had or proposed other language for, which I will read aloud and also drop in chat for you.
Thank you.
My version of that goes, Mimi Panich noted that ADUs were less consistent with the intended character of the RA zone, which is not meant for density, unlike the DR zone where density is intended and desirable.
That's fine too.
Excuse me, I have a tickle. Okay, so this one here is going to be changed.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to avoid the possible reading that people might not desire to do it in RA. I meant not as attractive for the city.
Okay, so I will make those change and then have this ready for Gernander also to sign.
And that was all the changes that I had.
I think Kate did a change on the food truck zone.
Yeah, it was pretty small change, but
Yeah.
I actually also have a couple of changes there.
On the ADU one?
Yeah, ADU one. Yeah, the one we
Nathan,
just
are you
looked at.
sleeping on me? What are you doing here? Killing me.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm just not focusing.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, here we go, right there.
Yeah, so at the near the end, though, the one of the last paragraph that says Aaron Vega stated.
Mhm.
So it says financial gain, GAME. It should be GIIN, GAIN. Well, it's also financial game, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, anyways, ignore that. The other part is right after that, the O'German section. It says Kate is the secretary.
Really bad
Yeah.
copy and paste.
I think that's it.
Okay, perfect. And next was the food trucks. Okay. Kate, did you already give me a change on this one?
I did give you a change on that one somewhere.
Why isn't it bolded? Oh,
I don't know. It's in the third paragraph. You put it in there.
okay.
The first line had said, Kate Crookmeyer stated that noted she was in support of efforts for, originally it just said regulating the food trucks. But I think that what I said was that I was in support of like efforts to
Right here. We added the word and regulating.
support and regulate.
Did anyone else have any changes to the,
Although then, following what Nathan just said, I'm not the secretary anymore.
thank you.
Kate, I don't mind you play two role.
Everybody takes their turn, Gurninder.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And how about the signature? Right there. There we go. And Grenadier's on that one. All right, Nathan, any changes here?
Yeah, can you, I think that chairman, my eyes are bad, but I think it's missing an eye, so it said chairman.
You're not
Chairman.
wrong.
All right, cool.
My word. Chairman. And then I do the same thing down here? Nope. Anything else? You're good on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then October 22nd, planning. 10:25, sorry. Kate, you had something on this one, right?
Yeah, it was that,
This paragraph, well, this one right here. I had separated out because I had put this information under the motion.
right, because the motion wasn't to not sign the ANR.
Right.
The motion was to sign the ANR, but with the
Right.
additional language.
So I got rid of that.
Yeah.
And then I put it this way.
Sharon, I thought we already updated these.
We did. This is what the board needs to see because not all the board members saw the changes that Kate made.
Okay, no, sorry, no, because right, because we made those corrections though, and I thought those went, okay, my apologies, sorry.
It's all right. Nathan, anything?
I think this one is okay.
And then I had just made this suggestion, which I assume Sharon got to, that when it says that we abstained from something, if it was because of the Mullen Rule problem, that we should note that, because that would, if we're trying to get the city council to approve the Mullen Rule, having it in the minutes that people had to abstain because of the Mullen Rule might be helpful.
So Nathan under the minutes abstained because he wasn't there for the same reason. So on this one here, because he missed that meeting, I probably should also put why Nathan
Yeah.
abstained. Where did I just see that? Right here.
And I guess the question is, should it instead, in addition to saying which meeting was missed, should it say like abstained due to Mullen Rule, missed October 11 meeting?
There's actually a different, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but the Mullen Rule is actually known as something else. So we might want to find that the exact statute or whatever it is versus the Mullen Rule, because the Mullen Rule, I think, was kind of just an extra,
Okay.
it's something that we know about it just because that's what it was originally badged as, but
Okay.
later it was called something else. And I can look for a better classification or clarification on that.
And also, if you want to be technical about it, nobody is abstaining because, or most part, we're not abstaining because of the Mullen Rule. We're abstaining because the
Failure.
city council didn't adopt the Mullen Rule.
Right.
Right. Failure to adopt.
So we have to find the right wording for those.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I just think it's good to note that from my perspective, it shows that we're actually, we're trying to do what we can do, and we're being stymied by the lack of this being done.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to look at the minutes and be like, why do people keep abstaining, or why that,
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense both as messaging and because part of the point of having this is so that in the future, people can look back and figure out what was done and why. And it's a lot easier if the minutes actually tell them why.
Jeff, this is Jane. I have that statute. Would you like me to say it?
Please.
Okay, so it's Mass General Laws 39, Section 23D.
Right.
Chapter
For the list.
39.
Chapter 39, Section 23D, capital D.
So
We're
how do
so
we?
glad you're here.
So we have to abstain because the city council has not approved that. Yes.
Has not adopted it.
We
Correct.
haven't adopted it, right?
So that's a long sentence to put in, but I think it's useful to put it in.
Yeah.
Every time, what, the city council not adopting chapter 39, section 23D? Mullen Rule, is it called Mullen Rule?
Well,
But
he
you
might have a
don't- you
case
don't have to put
called
Mullen
Mullen,
Rule.
but it's statutory now. So it's Mass General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 23D.
Just turn it into a macro and insert it whenever is necessary.
Yeah. So I don't have to do this piece right there is what you're telling me.
But should it say abstain due to? Not because of the law, but
Not
because
even technically an abstention, I shouldn't think. It's not qualified to vote because.
Right.
could not vote due to.
Can we do no vote?
It's due to missing one session of a public hearing. I mean, and that would allow them to vote on the application if they could, if that was, if it had been, or if it was passed.
I wouldn't use the word no because then it might be misinterpreted as voted no because, like maybe unable to vote. Due to lack of city council approval of MGL.
Can I just say maybe a recommendation?
Yeah.
Maybe put, because the language in the statute is disqualified because of the failure to attend the prior meeting. So maybe you can put disqualified from voting and then maybe an asterisk with, so then you can always have that asterisk, and then you can have one reference maybe at the bottom where you can do a little bit more lengthy verbiage about the statute and that the city has not adopted that statute.
That's why we have a lawyer here.
Yes, isn't it fabulous?
Now, do we need to put in that little star somewhere in this document which meeting is missed? No, that won't work. Do I need to put up here which meeting Gernender missed?
I think that's useful just for the record, even if it's not necessary. Because it helps us track it.
Well, I have it tracked on my little sign-in sheet over here. Okay, so then at the bottom, I will put something to the effect of that. And we need some other words here, don't we?
Yes. Disqualified from voting due to city council or due to the Holyoke's failure to adopt. Oops.
Is that gonna be right? Is anybody gonna wanna know what that means? The Mass General Law chapter, do I need to put more in there?
Well, I think it speaks for itself.
Perfect.
If anybody asks what it means, we can tell them.
Look at that at that point.
Say that again, Kate?
I'm okay with it that way, but
Okay. Okay, and I will put this in the appropriate location after the fact. And I'll fix all the abstained ones. And then how does that affect this up here? He was not at September's meeting and with no adoption of the Mullen Rule. I should quote that Mass General Law thing.
I would, yeah.
Okay, I'll fix that in there.
or maybe you could just put it in parentheses, because probably when we were talking about it, we were talking about the Mullen Rule.
Yeah, and again, we want to use the disqualified from voting as opposed to the abstain language there.
I know what that means.
Yes, I know you know what that means.
Yep. Okay. I can make those edits. Any other edits on this one? Any little typos? Is Kate the secretary here? Nope. And the signature. Is good. Okay. That's that one. And that. White Hut. Kate, I don't think you had anything on the White Hut, did you?
I think there was like one spelling thing that I sent, but it wasn't anything. Oh, there was one word I didn't know what you had written.
Oh, yeah, it was like a jumbled mess. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, right here, the amended rent, something over here.
Yep, what you've done is fine.
Yeah, okay. So that one there is all set. Oh, did anyone else have any edits on the White Hut from October 25th?
That was the jumble that said like
Yeah.
I typed it. That rendering gay delay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
just a,
okay. Yeah, that's
that was a
that's
mess.
it. That's it. That was it for
Okay,
me.
and then last but not least, I think, Holyoke Boys and Girls Club sign. Don't think there was anything on here.
I didn't see anything.
No, maybe I could capitalize the P in prejudice, maybe. Anybody else? Okay. All corrected. Didn't you like it better when I didn't do the minutes?
So shall I move that we approve as a package all 6 sets of minutes that have just been discussed as amended?
4, 5, 6, 7.
7?
Yeah.
You're right, 7. All 7 sets.
I'll second that.
I want to raise one concern that because I can't vote on a lot of these minutes. Like I don't know if that works. It's a
You-
little complicated, right? Do we have to vote individually on this depending on who was there at the meetings?
It's been my understanding that, what are you voting on? You're just voting that the minutes were reviewed and approved. No different than Gernander, who
Oh,
was
okay.
not at a meeting and he signs as secretary.
Right.
Unless,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Sorry for the misunderstanding.
no,
Fine.
that's okay.
Yep. No
I'll let you
complaints.
have that one, Nathan. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second by roll call vote. Nathan, I'll put you first.
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Rinder, Gerninder, Kate,
Yes.
and Mimi.
Yes.
4-0, I think, for the moment. Okay, minutes done. Other business. Like John Kelly would say, nobody calls, nobody writes.
I can give a
Right.
quick committee report update. The Whiting Street Reservoir Study Group has, I think, finally finished the report. So I don't know when it's gonna go to the city council, but I believe that the work on that project is finishing. And as soon as I know for sure, I'm sure I can share the report with everybody.
Okay, and I suppose I can follow that up with a very brief Pioneer Valley Planning Commission report, which is that they're doing a planning process, or they have initiated a planning process to explore whether they should do a planning process and what it should, what any strategic plan for the commission should cover. I think there was some general skepticism among the assembled commissioners about what this initiative is and what it is intended to accomplish. But if there are any particular priorities that we think that the commission should focus on in the coming year, I have an appointment to be at one of the little focus groups of commissioners that will be contributing to this process. And that's on December 1st. So think about it. Anything that you think ought to be brought to the attention of the people who may be doing this planning process, I can certainly present at that point. And it's going to be like herding cats, one can tell already. So that's what I've got.
Oh, and can I ask about CDBG? Rosanna, has the mayor talked with you about that?
The mayor ain't messing with me because I've asked him several times. He wants his boy on that committee, so I'm over it. I'm tired of bringing it up to him.
Okay, well, then maybe I'll tell him that I'll continue. I just think it's good for one of us to do it, but I'm frustrated.
That's what I was trying to tell him, and I've spoken to him several times.
I'll follow up with him then.
Okay, because I'm still interested, but I feel as though he wants this other person to
But
represent.
it's not like a committee that they can't have 1 million people on. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'll talk to
I got a
him.
big mouth, so I'm not surprised.
That committee needs that though.
Yeah, no, that's one way.
I see you laughing, Jeff.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
anything else that anyone has to report?
So Mimi, if I'm not mistaken, we can vote to enter into executive session and with the intent of not returning back to the planning board meeting.
Thank you. I was going to ask because I get tangled up in the procedure for this every time.
Done that before, where we motion to enter into executive session with the intent of not returning back to planning, so the meeting would be closed following executive session.
Okay, and in that case, I will ask for a motion to enter into executive session with the intent that we will not return to the planning board public meeting, but will adjourn from there.
So moved.
Second.
Hold on. By roll call vote. Nathan,
Yes.
Rosanna,
Yes, ma'am.
Gurvinder,
Angie, yes.
okay, Kate,
Yes.
and Manny.
Yes.
Okay, and Lauren as the associate. I always don't know about this one. Sorry, Lauren.
That's okay.
Any-
If I can come into executive or if you want me to
Yeah,
vote.
Well, I think you have to be in because
I've
Yeah,
been in
she's in.
a bunch
She's
of
been-
times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Lauren.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me stop this recording.
yeah,